No, you'll have it by the end of the day. I'm just about to start it now. Yes, Johnny. Oh, Johnny, don't worry, man. No. I'm not sat around drinking beer. No. Would I lie to you? All right, I'll see you later. Cheers, man. Ta-da. Oh, dear. Poor Johnny. Thinks I'm sat around drinking beer. He don't know me too well. Or maybe he knows me a bit too well. Anyway. Oh, hello, my little lovelies. You're sneaking up on me. I didn't see you there. I hope I find you all well. I'm feeling tickety-boo. Now, I've got a little film for you, and I'm not going to hang about, as it's still the school holidays and Dylan's on the prowl. This one is all about reincarnation. And let's get on with it, shall we? Jenny Cockle was just an ordinary Northamptonshire housewife. She was also a mother of 2 children, but there was nothing ordinary about her. Over the next few years, she not only believed that she had lived before as an Irish woman called Mary Sutton, who was born in 1897, but she also found her children still living in Ireland. Her story starts just before her 4th birthday. She began to remember her past life in small snatches, and for a long time she never mentioned it to anybody because she believed that everybody had the same feelings and experiences. The most vivid of these memories was a very disturbing one. She dreamt of her own death, or should I say, Mary's death. She was also aware that Mary had been 35 years old and had just given birth to her 8th child. Wow. She could see a hospital where it was happening, and she felt very strong feelings of guilt and sorrow that she was leaving her children. The feelings never left her, and after experiencing these memories for some time, she suddenly decided to draw a map where she believed these strange things had happened. She just knew that it was in Ireland. She was quoted as saying, "I just felt so sad that I had to leave my children. I realized then that I had to go back. So I got out a map and I instinctively knew, pointing at it, where I lived. After a while, I was drawn to a place called Malahide. Jenny says, I just knew this was my hometown. But life got in the way, and she was still only a child. It was a few years later when Jenny got married and had her own children that the feelings and memories surfaced once more. Only this time they were stronger. So she started to think about tracking down Mary's family in Ireland. Jenny stated that if she were to trace the family, she wanted to make sure she did it right. No mistakes, and not the smallest of doubt. It had to be the right house, the right family, and even more importantly, get the names, dates, and the children's names correct. So Jenny consulted a hypnotist who dealt with regression therapy. The funny thing was that Jenny was very much a skeptic. She didn't really believe in anything like reincarnation or psychic phenomena. That, I think, is what makes this story quite more incredible. She felt uncomfortable with the whole story and was afraid she was going to make a fool of herself. So after undergoing regression and realizing that this was not going to go away, she decided to make the trip to Ireland. Still consulting her maps that she had drawn, she took out a map of Ireland and studied it in detail, a real map of Malahide. To her surprise, she realized that it was very similar to the one she had drawn from her memory. This gave her the final push to undertake the journey back in time, to see if she could understand and find the home, the family that she had left many years before. She arrived in Malahide, which is north of Dublin, and decided the best course of action would be to check out any records she could find in the church records. The records showed that there had been a Mary Sutton who had lived and died in Malahide, and her 8 children had been left to various relatives, and some had been placed sadly in an orphanage. She decided that if she was going to do this properly, she would get in touch with the local newspapers and also write letters to all the churches to find out as much as she could. By this time, any sort of embarrassment or doubt was quickly beginning to disappear. She knew in a way that nobody else could understand that to her this was real. With the help of letters to foster homes and the historical societies, she realised that if this didn't work, then nothing would. Much to her surprise and relief, she located the surviving children. Before she met the children, she subjected herself to questioning by a BBC researcher to make sure that the dreams and memories that she was having would match up to the facts by the surviving members of the Irish family. Jenny told the researcher facts about the family home, the kind of sewing thread that Mary had used, even small things like when the children had caught a live hare in a trap. Wow. Eventually, after the interview, she came face to face with Sonny, Mary's son, for the first time. In 1990, Sonny Sutton picked up the phone and listened to the most amazing story he had ever heard. And when he at last put the phone down, his wife said, "You look like you have seen a ghost." Sonny turned to her and, as white as a sheet, said, "I've been talking to my mother." The rest of Mary's family were not so easily convinced, however. Who is this Jenny? What was her purpose in doing this to the family? They just could not believe such a thing. The family had been brought up as Catholics, and in complete bewilderment, Phyllis Clinton, Mary's daughter, consulted her priest, who told her that, after hearing the evidence, the only thing he could think of was that somehow Mary was speaking through Jenny, as a way to get the family back together. Christy 72, Frank 70, Phyllis was 71, Betty Keogh 62, and their brother Jeffrey James, who died in 1992, aged 66, were very unsettled by all of this, as you can imagine. She knew the pictures on the wall. What was in the house? How it was built? "It was unbelievable," said Phyllis. "I find it hard to believe, even though I know she is telling the truth." She goes on to say, her mum passed her soul over to this unborn person. There was a 21-year gap between the year Mary died and Jenny was born, and this is very unusual in the fact that the children could be found and the story authenticated. Jenny is a member of Mensa and is very down to earth. She insisted that anything that she could not remember would not be added to her story. It had to be only the things that she could prove. This is a very fascinating story in the fact that an average everyday woman born into a normal household grew up with the knowledge that to her it was normal to remember past lives. And even more important isn't whether you believe it or not. The fact is that after Mary's death, her children were separated and lost contact with each other for nearly 60 years. Jenny Cockle did a remarkable thing. She reunited a lost family, and on that day, in a Dublin home belonging to Betty, they came together and shared cheers and memories, vowing never to be apart again. If there is anything that we can take from this story, whether we believe in reincarnation or whether we don't, something extraordinary happened there. So the next time you dream a dream or have a memory that is strange to you, maybe you should listen to your thoughts, because there could be someone out there that is remembering you. Oh, welcome back, my little lovelies. Just enjoying a cup of tea. Now, what did you make of that video? Reincarnation. A huge subject. Hundreds, thousands, millions and zillions of stuff out there on it. I chose that one because it had its roots in Ireland, and purely because my surname is Murphy. I could have chosen any of them, but because my surname is Murphy, I chose one that was Irish. Hang on, my nose is itchy. Oh, sorry about that, my little lovelies. Itchy nose. So, whether you believe in reincarnation or whether you don't, it's a very interesting subject. And as always, here at Weird World, we put the videos out there and we let you little lovelies decide. That's it from me for this episode. Take care, my little lovelies. Ta-ta! Ta-ta, my little lovelies. Ta-ta!